Okay, I think we can make a start. We'll start off just by introducing ourselves before we get into the presentation, just in case there are a couple of latecomers. So thank you all very much for coming today. We're just using this session really as an information session for anyone interested in the programme, anyone who has already applied for the programme. Perhaps you've already accepted an offer for the programme and you just want to have an opportunity to ask questions. So we're very happy to have you all along. My name is Ailey. I am one of the directors of the MSc in Data Analytics programme, and I'm also a lecturer on a couple of the courses. So I lecture on the Probability and Sampling Fundamentals course and also the Learning from Data course. So you'll get to see me and know me quite a lot through the programme if you decide to join. I'll also just quickly let Craig and Colette introduce themselves before we get started. So Craig, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks Ailey. So hi everyone, I'm Craig, and like Ailey, I'm one of the directors as well on the programme. I will teach the R programming course, which is one of the first courses you'll take during the programme, and I also supervise in some of the final year projects as well. I'll just pass you over to Colette now.
Hello everyone, so I am Colette, and like Ailey and Craig, I also work on this programme, and I also teach in some of the courses, much like Ailey and Craig. So I teach on the Probability and Sampling Fundamentals with Ailey, which you'll take in semester 1 of year 1. And I also teach on a year 2 course, Data Analytics in Business and Industry. So I'm sure we'll all get to know you guys through management and also through some of the courses as well.
Great, thank you. So I guess the structure of the session today, I'm going to go through a quick presentation just to give you a little bit of information and background on the programme, and then there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. So hopefully you all have a link to the Slido chat, which Colette's also just posted in the Zoom chat, sorry, the Slido Q&A board. A few people have already asked questions on that, which is great, and we've tried to answer those just in writing today. But if you've got questions throughout the session, feel free to either unmute and ask them on Zoom, but if you would rather, you can also post them to Slido, and we will try to answer them all during the session, but can also post responses to them afterwards. So if you think of something at the end that you forgot to ask, we'll keep that Q&A board open, so feel free just to ask questions over the next couple of days. So I'll just get started on the presentation. So as you are probably all aware, we run the MSc PG Dip and PG Cert in Data Analytics, or Data Analytics for Government. And it's an online distance learning programme, which is a part-time programme. So why the University of Glasgow, first of all? So the University of Glasgow and the statistics group within the University of Glasgow is international renowned for its research excellence. We have quite a large group of statisticians within the School of Maths and Stats, probably larger than most institutions in terms of the statisticians we actually have. We're almost a separate department from maths, and we have the programmes in itself. A lot of universities have statistics courses run within a maths programme. We have a dedicated statistics group and a very wide-ranging group as well. We have lots of expertise from academics. We cover a whole host of different analytics and data analysis within ourselves in terms of our research interests. And so by being here, you get to make the most of that and really learn from the expertise of all of our staff members. Within the programme itself, I think one of the best parts about doing an online distance learning programme such as this is the global community of learners that you'll get to meet over the course of the programme. Because we're flexible, we're online, everything's taught online, we have students from all over the world, literally 6 continents and 41 countries at the last count. You'll see that all or more than half of our students do live in the UK, but we do have students from all around the world. So I really like it when I'm doing live sessions. I could be talking to someone who lives 30 minutes down the road from me, but I could also be talking to someone who lives on the other side of the world from me. So you get to really make the most of that network of learners, your peers. They'll work in all different sorts of companies, they'll live in all different countries. It's a really nice community that we have here. Now, what we learn on the programme, so on this slide here, you'll notice we've got all these different toggles. So each of the icons represents one of the top courses on our programme. And by top courses, I mean just a traditional university course that you will take over 10 to 11 weeks. And although we have a wide range of courses which will teach you all sorts of different techniques, we can break them down into different clusters of courses that teach similar topics. So the first being probability and applied statistics. So although right now data analytics, data science, these are all the buzzwords, if you like, the underlying foundation of everything that we do relies upon probability and applied statistics. And so quite often, or the first courses that you'll take quite often are ones which will really lay that foundation and that base that you need in order to build up to a stage where you can fit the more fancy and complicated models that we'll teach in future courses. So the first couple of courses that you generally take over the first year will involve things like probability. We've got predictive modelling, advanced predictive modelling, learning from data, which includes statistical inference, and Bayesian statistics as well. So these will really build your foundation and your statistical knowledge to allow you to take some of the more not complicated, but more complicated modelling courses, which generally take place later on in the programme. So these can involve machine learning. We have a couple of machine learning and data mining courses, and these you'll be taught things like neural networks, clustering, social network analysis, graphical models, and we also have a large-scale computing course which teaches you TensorFlow. So these are the courses where you'll learn to work with big data, unstructured data, messy data, all that sort of thing. And then finally, we teach programming courses. Now, you'll all know, I'm sure you'll be aware of how important programming is in any role as a data scientist, as a data analyst, or a statistician in the world that we live in now. So we want to make sure you have a really solid foundation in terms of your programming knowledge. So in first year, you'll take R programming, which Craig teaches. R is quite a popular statistical software, programming software that you'll learn. We also teach Python, which is very, very popular in industry. And we teach SAS. Now, SAS is maybe not so popular in all or across all industry, but it's still very popular in the pharmaceutical industry. So it's still quite an important one to learn. And some of you might be here because you've applied or are thinking of applying for the MSc in Data Analytics for Government programme. This is a very similar programme to our standard MSc in Data Analytics, with the exception being that people who apply for this are generally working for the public sector. And we only actually launched this programme last year, and it's in partnership with the Office for National Statistics. So we had our first group of students begin last year, and it's, as I said, it's very similar to the MSc in Data Analytics programme, with just a couple of differences which I'll point out later on. Well, actually, I'll point them out now. That's my next slide. So the differences being, you'll take still 12 taught courses and a project, but 2 of the courses that you take will actually be run by the School of Social and Political Science, Statistics and Government being one, and Introduction to Survey Research being the other. So there's a few courses that you won't take from the general programme, and you'll take these ones instead. But apart from that, it's generally very, very similar to the other programme. And along with the taught courses, which we've just discussed, the final thing that you'll do on your MSc is the MSc project. So this is usually taken over 1 year. It's really where you get to have a go at data analysis yourself. You've been taught all of these things in all of the courses. You've learned all these new modelling techniques. This is your chance to show us what you can do. So we strongly, strongly recommend that students propose their own project. So that might be something that you're working on in your workplace. It might be something that you're just very, very interested in and you have access to public data for. We think that the best way the way that you'll get the best results from your project is by doing something that you are strong in, so something that you're good at, but also something you're interested in and you're enthusiastic about. So if there's this particular topic that you're really, really interested in, you're going to be much more willing to spend lots of time working on this project and answering some key questions of interest than you would be if it's something that you're not very interested in. So it's something that we really strongly encourage for students to propose their own project rather than just take something that one of the lecturers within the school has proposed instead. The project is usually taken over one academic year. We begin in September, and students can choose to either submit their project in May, or they could submit their project in August. There's no difference to us. It doesn't matter which one you choose. The only difference being if you submit your project in May, you'd be able to graduate in the summer. But if you submit your project in August, you'd have to wait to graduate in the winter. So really that's the only difference as to when you want to choose when to take the project. But that's not something you have to worry about for the first couple of years on the programme. So that's something you can decide later along the line. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about the structure of the programme. As we mentioned at the start, it's an online distance learning programme, so everything is done online. All the material is asynchronous, so that you can work through it any time that suits you. There's pre-recorded videos that you can watch at any time. We do have some live sessions where you'll meet with the course lecturer, you can ask questions, we can go through tasks, but these are all optional, so you don't have to attend them. And we also record all of these sessions as well. So if you can't attend because you're in work or it's the middle of the night where you live, for example, then you can always catch up and watch those at a later date. And we also offer one-to-one appointments in most of our courses as well. So if there's something that you really want to meet the lecturer to ask a question about, then you can try and book a slot at a time that suits you to speak to the lecturer and get a bit of insight from them. So the programme is part-time. It's usually completed over 3 years. We do have, when it's completed over 3 years, it's the standard route. That's the route that most students take. And this route, you will take 6 courses per year. So you take 2 courses in each trimester over the first 2 years, and then you take your project in year 3. We offer what we call the faster route. And the faster route is when you complete the full MSc programme over 2 years instead. On this route, you'll take 10 courses in your first year, and then you'll take the remaining 2 courses and your project in the final year. Now, this is something that many students have done and have done successfully, but it's something that we do warn students against doing if you have any inclination that you might not have the time to do so. Completing the programme over 2 years is almost equivalent to doing a full-time programme. And if you're working full-time alongside that, it's quite a large undertaking. So make sure that you're happy to take on those consequences before you sign up to the faster route. And if you're interested in it and you're not sure, then you can chat to one of us about it and we can give you some advice. We also offer students to take the programme over a longer period of time. We know that circumstances change, especially when most of our students work full time and potentially have caring responsibilities as well. So we allow that level of flexibility. So you could come in and want to complete the programme over 3 years, but something happens, you change your job, something like that, and you decide you need to take a step back for a year. You could take maybe fewer courses 1 year and take them the remaining the next and complete the programme over 4 years, for example. We do allow that level of flexibility. We know you are all very busy people and life can get in the way, even with the best intentions initially. So we've got that level of flexibility, which our students, I think, appreciate. And we've designed this programme around students who work full time. So everything we've tried to design with the most flexibility that we possibly can. So just having a look at the different options. So we run the full MSc, which is what I've spoken most about. That consists of 180 credits. And by credits, I mean, these are sort of the chunks that the university builds the courses upon. So each course you take will be worth 10 credits. You'll take 12 10-credit courses to get you to 120 credits. And then your project will also be worth 60 credits, and that will make up the full 180 credits you need to graduate with the MSc. As I mentioned, you can take that over 2, 3, or 4 years. You'll do all of our 12 courses and you'll take your dissertation project in the final year. The other option, or one of the other options we have, is the postgraduate diploma. This is a certificate that you can gain by taking all of the top courses over 2 years, but you don't take the project. So it's one step down from the MSc. You would take all of the top courses, but no project. And you usually would take that over 2 years. And then finally, we offer the postgraduate certificate, which is just 60 credits. So that's 6 of our top courses. Usually you take these over 1 year. And again, you don't do any project or dissertation. So one thing that I think is quite important to mention is we're quite flexible between which option you want to take. So say, for example, you apply for the full MSc and then something happens and you decide you can't dedicate another 2 years to do so, but you've already taken 6 top courses. Then we're able to switch you, for example, to the postgraduate certificate, which you could graduate from immediately. Or say you want to do another year but not do the project, we could also switch you over to the postgraduate diploma. So there's that level of flexibility. There's also flexibility the other way. So say you don't want to commit yourself to a full 3 years, you can apply to do the postgraduate certificate. And then say you're really enjoying yourself and you want to continue on, then as long as you meet the requirements for progression onto the MSc, we can switch you onto the MSc programme or onto the postgraduate diploma. So it's quite important, I think, to note that level of flexibility. Don't feel as though when you apply for something, you're then tied into completing that and only that. We can offer flexibility between the programmes. Talk a little bit about assessment now. So all of our courses, of course, have to be assessed. That's how we determine whether or not you get a distinction or a merit MSc in the end. We have continuous assessment across all of our courses. So there's very little or very few assessments where you have to physically be, or you don't have to physically be anywhere, they're all online, but online at a certain time at a certain date. We do have a few class tests where that is the case, but usually we offer 2 sittings of those. So I say, for example, a morning sitting and an evening sitting, where you'll sit down on your computer and you'll have a number of hours to complete the class test, but those are quite few and far between. Most of our courses are 100% continuous assessment, and there's usually a gate-to-gate degree of flexibility within that as well. So you would be offered, for example, a programming assignment in one of the programming courses. You might be asked to do a report. You'll be given maybe some data from one of your classes and asked to apply some of the modelling techniques that you've been taught in that class and write up a report based on that. We have online quizzes where you can quiz yourself on the knowledge that you've learned so far. We have some oral assessments where you might be asked to read up on a certain topic, and then the lecturer will meet you one-to-one on Zoom and you'll be asked questions about that specific topic. And we also have some app development. So for example, if anyone has used R before, one of the assessments asks you to build a Shiny app based on a set of data. So there's a very wide range of assessment, and for each course, certain assessment types work better than others. But again, I know I keep saying the word flexibility, but most of our assessments allow quite a long time in terms of deadlines, but also you can do them over that whole period of time. So you can start your project, go away, come back and work on it over a long period of time. Okay, so what next? There'll be some of you here who have already applied and potentially accepted your offer. So welcome to all of you. But for anyone who is thinking of applying, if you're interested in applying, I would say courses start in 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks' time. So I would apply as soon as you possibly can if you are interested. You can apply online. I don't know if Craig or Colette, maybe you could post the link to our university webpage where you can apply. Once you have applied, you'll be offered either, or if you are offered a place, it'll be either unconditional, which you can accept straight away, or it might be conditional on taking what we call our pre-sessional maths course. And you'll have seen on the website, this is for people who don't have the level of maths that we require for an unconditional offer. We run a maths course with, I think it's 6 topics. We have notes on all of those topics, and then we ask you to do a small assessment on that in order to gain entry. And once you've passed that assessment, your conditional offer will be made unconditional and you can join the programme. In order to take that pre-sessional maths course, you will be asked to join a pre-enrolment Moodle page, which some of you may already be on. All of the maths material is located here, and the test to take them for the pre-sessional maths course is here. So if you have a conditional offer, it's really, really important that you join that pre-enrolment Moodle page. Otherwise, there's no way that we'll know or there's no way you can take the test in order for us to allow you to have an unconditional offer. If you've not received an email about this pre-enrollment Moodle page, just either message one of us now, or we'll give you our email address and you can email us. It's really important that we get all of you on that page to make sure that you've passed the test in time for courses beginning. But this pre-enrollment Moodle page is useful for everyone. So even if you have an unconditional offer, there's lots and lots of useful information there. Most importantly, our programme handbook, which has, we hope, every piece of information we think that you'll need for the whole programme. And we also have some frequently asked questions and an expectations document as well, so that you can get an idea of what we would expect from you and what you can expect from us. So that's what you can do between now and the courses beginning. Before the courses begin on the 20th of September, once you have accepted your unconditional offer, you will be sent an email to ask you to register on My Glasgow, which is the university online portal. You have to register financially and academically, and once you've done that, you'll be able to enrol for your first year courses. And lists of all the courses that you have to enrol for is given in the programme handbook, but you can also email us if you're unsure. So make sure you do that before the 20th of September, because that's when the courses begin. And then, as I've mentioned, we start teaching on the 20th of September. So that's been the first week of course notes and material will go live. I think I'm aware that there are a few people waiting on decisions but on their application. Unfortunately, we don't look at the applications ourselves. That's not something that we do. It's dealt with by the admissions team. And I think at this time of year, you can imagine that all of our courses are beginning, all of our programs are beginning. They are probably inundated with requests and emails. So we can only apologise on their behalf if you've had a bit of a delay in getting a decision on your application. But you can know from our end that we are pushing as hard as we can to get those applications through and a decision made in those. But what we can do is point you to the direction of someone that you can ask for help within the admissions team if you do have a problem with your application. But hopefully you'll all hear soon. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them now. You can ask them on the Slido Q&A session. You can unmute yourself and ask them if you want to on the Zoom call. Our email address for the management team, that consists just of myself and Colette and Craig, is here. So if you've got any questions at any point, please don't hesitate to email us on that email address here.